So you guys have probably heard that PlayStation is planning on no longer creating physical media for their video games, and everything will be download only. It looks like Xbox is planning to do the same thing with their new Xbox Helix no longer even having a disk drive, as well as Grand Theft Auto 6 being one of the first major AAA video games to launch without physical media. No disc. You can buy the game and it's downloadable, a little downloadable, I don't know, ticket inside the physical piece of plastic that doesn't have a disc in it. This is pretty I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about this. Partially on one hand, I'm like, okay, technology was always headed in this direction anyway. It's so convenient to download a video game now instead of going to the store, picking up physical media, or even just like ordering it online from Amazon or for example, waiting for it to arrive at your doorstep. I can just go online on an eShop, Nintendo eShop or whatever, like PlayStation Store, download the video game, and within 20 minutes to an hour or so, I have downloaded the full game and I'm ready to play it. That is so much more convenient. And so this has been happening. This has been happening for a while. Like, I remember this kind of started happening in the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era. I would download DLC for Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, and that's when it started to catch on. And then you could also download independent video games from the store then, but then it became. I remember then they started releasing full games to download. You could buy and download. And the next problem became, having enough storage space. But it was so convenient that I felt like, okay, this is a trend. This isn't just a trend. This is what's likely where the industry is going to go. I just didn't think that physical media itself would ever fully go away. And in a way, I think it's actually a real shame that it is, because it's going to change gaming for possibly forever, and maybe we will have a loss of culture because of that. This has happened throughout history. I mean, not in terms of video games, but books have been burned in history. Books have gone missing. There's been lots of culture that is lost or has been destroyed over the course of human history. And it feels like, in terms of the gaming sphere, this is actually something that is quite dangerous to gaming culture in general. The lack of physical media. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't communities out there who are actively working to preserve this media. There is, and that's awesome, and I'm so happy that they exist, because it's important. But it is sad that the access to these video games, even though they are preserved, is still quite limited. If you want to play an old video game like that was on the original Xbox, for example, Jet Set Radio Future, which is one of my favorite video games. If you want to play it, you have two options. One, you can try to find a used copy somewhere on the internet for an overinflated price, because, I shouldn't even say overinflated. It's probably fair market value, because the discs are no longer in production. So over time, they're going to become more and more valuable. Or you can basically download a pirated version of the game and run it on an emulator. Those are really your only two options. Buy it used and in perhaps poor condition, or pirate the game. And that's the only real way we're able to preserve some of this old media, is through game pirating. In a way, it's kind of like pirating itself is almost like putting the game in a library, which is probably a better way of framing it, because piracy in some instances, piracy is bad, but not in all cases. Sometimes it's actually a good thing, because if we didn't have piracy, how else would we be able to preserve video games that have been made a long time ago? How would we be able to preserve movies that have been made a long time ago that, you might not be able to even get a physical copy or DVD from? How would you even know they existed had they not been on a database? Piracy for a long time has been considered very bad, because it hurts the creators of the content, whether it was the movie, the book, the video game. But when you think about like how a public library functions, it's pretty much the same thing. Like, I shouldn't say directly the same, but it does have a lot of overlapping similarities. You can go to a library, you can borrow a book, you can borrow for how long, you return the book, and you got to do all of that for free, unless you had to pay, $10 for your library card. But that's pretty good deal considering the access to the media that is at the library. Libraries work as an archive of human culture, and video games are an aspect of that. They are creations people have made, just like a book, or a movie, or a piece of music. They deserve to be archived, and they deserve to be accessible to people. And to see that the industry is now leaning towards no longer having physical copies for games, we almost require digital libraries now, a way to be able to download video games, having a digital library card, and be able to download these video games that had a significant impact in culture. Jet Set Radio was a massive impact on me when I was younger. I loved that game. I still adore it today. From the music to the art style to the feeling of just being inside the world, it was so cool. It is still cool to me, and it's such a small little video game that not a whole lot of people have heard of it. There is there is a community out there that loves Jet Set Radio. They exist and they know about it. But in terms of mass appeal, Jet Set Radio future is not well known. But I digress. Games like this matter. They matter because they had an impact on us. They matter because they altered how we think, or they influenced us in some way, perhaps creatively, and preserving that media is important, especially for yourself. You probably played quite a few video games over the course of your life, maybe only a few, but regardless, there's probably a few of them that you can think of that really mattered to you at some point. Maybe it was just the time you were playing the video game in your life, what it meant to you back then, or maybe it changed the way you thought about something. Maybe it had some story behind it that impacted you. Owning a copy of this video game is in a way important to you because it's a piece of yourself. It's something you can share with somebody else who is maybe getting to know you or already knows you, that you want to share with them, so they can kind of understand a version of you from your past, maybe even if it's just a piece of you. It matters. It matters to you, and it's worth preserving. So it is sad that we see that this trend towards physical games no longer being in circulation, no longer being able to buy them in stores. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to GameStop. I loved that store. There would be games everywhere, from PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, GameCube. I loved browsing the bargain bins. I would look through them and be excited about finding some obscure little video game I had never heard about. And the only way I could really preview what the game was about was the booklet that came in the plastic case. And I would look through the booklet, look at the screenshots, and through the screenshots, I'd be deciding, do I want to play this game or not? And I would buy it, I would take it home, and I'd be so excited just looking over the booklet again and again and again until I got to be able to put it in my console and play it. The physical media mattered, and I still think it matters. But it's important that we still preserve this because, yes, throughout time, cultures have lost really important pieces of themselves through the lack of preservation itself, or even through the intent to get rid of knowledge that existed once before. So if you're listening to this video and you want to get anything out of it, I suppose my only point is pay attention to the pieces of media that matter to you in your life, whether that's a book, a piece of music, a video game, a movie, and maybe make an effort to own those. Own them because they matter to you. And then that's a place that gives you the option to share that with someone down the road because it mattered. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video. Zena.